Good afternoon, folks, and welcome back to the Bible in 365. Today is day number 25, and we're taking a look at Exodus chapter 25, beginning in verse 10. And we're going to be exploring all the way until Exodus chapter 27, ending in verse 21. Now, we got a lot to talk about, folks, so let's get started. All right. So our story continues in chapter 25, wherein God gives the Israelites very specific instructions concerning their offerings and their place of worship. We discussed yesterday how God revealed to Moses a pattern that would be utilized for the sanctuary and the instruments that lay within. Picking up in verse 10 of Exodus chapter 25, we see that God told Moses to build an ark out of acacia wood. The ark would be covered in pure gold and would be used to house or hold items of importance, such like the Ten Commandments. The Lord then gives Moses specific instructions concerning the construction of a table, along with various other items that were going to be used for the process of offerings, and how these items were to be constructed and placed on this table. One of the items of merit was the lampstand, to be fashioned and hammered by hand out of pure gold. In short, the Lord told Moses everything he needed to know for constructing this place of worship. Not a single detail was spared. There was very, very specific instructions. If you'd like, please pause for a moment and just think of the thought and the process that goes into the construction of our own places of worship. What is necessary, and how do these items help aid us in our worship and glorification of God? Are there items that we must have and must be present within our sanctuaries? Or are there things that we could leave out that aren't necessarily necessary? It's just something interesting to consider as we take a look at these specific instructions that were given to Israel concerning a place of worship. So our story continues in chapter 26. And this attention to detail continues as God gives Moses the plans for the tabernacle. The tabernacle was located inside the sanctuary space. And this information includes things like the inner and the outer curtains, covers, veils, and patterns and partitions that separated the holy place from the most holy place. This chapter notes fine linens in the colors of blue, red, and purple that were meant to fashion the curtains, and clasps made of gold to fasten the curtains together, and gold embroidery for patterns of cherubim upon the curtains. It talks of a tent made of fine and durable leather that was to be dyed red to protect it from inclement weather and ultimately protect the tabernacle and the instruments of worship and the Ark of the Covenant. And the presence of God would come to this place. And so once again, not a detail was spared. Moving forward to chapter 27. Chapter 27 describes and gives instructions concerning the altar for burnt offerings, the courtyard, and the lampstand. And here it tells us that the altar was to be furnished from acacia wood, as many of the furnishings were within the sanctuary. It then was to be covered with bronze, and then everything within the courtyard was supposed to be covered in bronze. Here, the chapter notes measurements that were given for the courtyard, and the north and southern lengths were about 100 cubits, so roughly 150 feet, and then east and west was 50 cubits, so about 75 feet. And it is here in chapter 27 that it tells us that olive oil was supposed to be used to keep the lamps burning all day and all night, and that it would be the responsibility of Aaron and his sons to ensure that these lamps stayed lit. And so then it is here that the chapter ends with a command that this statute for Aaron and his sons and for all of Israel to ensure these lamps stay lit. This was a command, a statute that would last forever. All right, folks, so tomorrow we will continue with our exploration of the biblical text as we dive in and take a look at Exodus chapters 28 and 29. As always, folks, God bless.